Good afternoon, adventurers. It's Friday, and you know what that means, right? It means John's Dungeon Corner at 1 o'clock, right here at the Collective in Altamont Springs, Florida. So hopefully all your adventures have been going good this week. We had some adventuring going on Wednesday, and it was kind of crazy. Everybody had a good time, though, here. We had there were 4 games going on, and it's different kinds of adventuring going on. We had like a beginner game run by one of the staff. And then we had, of course, my son Antonio's game that's going on. And he's got this really cool. And the reason I'm starting out like this is I've had questions about the different games that were going on here. So we have a beginner game, and it's run by a staff member's son. Very, very educated young man. Knows the game. And when I mean educated, I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons educated. I'm not talking about, he's a Harvard graduate or anything. I'm talking about, he got to put up the manuals, the books. He understands the game. He knows the spirit of the game, and the people have fun. So he's running a beginner game. I think it goes first to third level, and then it kind of recycles. That way there's always a table for the new players. All right. Then my son Antonio runs a wonderful game. His game, of course, is a little bit higher level. I think he's got one of the higher level games going on right now. His character's running around the 11th, 12th level, I believe. And he's got this really myriad of endless magical doors in his magical mansion. And it is a blast. There's another game being run by a friend of ours, Donna. And she's doing a really happy Friday, Sarah. I was just talking about the different games running on Wednesday. And then her game is a mid-level game. I think they're around 3rd to 5th level at this time, and they're set in this world of hers. We're operating out of a town where there's a adventurers guild that's run, and it's a lot of fun. They're going on different quests with different creatures. They fought kobolds and lizard men, and I think they're fighting the undead now. Then, of course, I'm running a 4th game, the Mines of Fendelver, the starter box. Yep. He went to the school of hard crit fails. All right, David, thank you for that information. Okay. Hey, Donna, there's the other DM. Oh, wow, this is fabulous. Look at this. Okay, so look at that. I was just talking about your game. And then, of course, that game's so there's 4 good games that run on a regular basis running. And all different kinds of levels. And if you come and talk to the DMs, of course, they're going to let you know about it. Which before I get into the product, the new stuff that came out, which I'm really excited about, I wanted to talk since I got a couple of DMs here. I wanted to talk because one of the questions that was sent to me via email is, hey, I know that Dungeons and Dragons has a lot of rules, and I've been trying to learn them, but my DM sometimes doesn't quite follow the rules and does things differently. Well, okay, and that's a good question or it's a good comment statement to make, because I've said this before on the show, especially during the players and the DMs months, Dungeon Masters months, is that the rules are only guidelines. Okay, imagine this is a framework, and once you put inside the framework, oh my gosh, there's so many D&D books out there. 5th edition alone has I don't even want to go into the number of books, but as you go further back, especially in the 3.5 days, there were so many books that you could build a library with them. Okay, so there's a lot of rules. A lot of game masters use them as is. Some add some extra flavor into them, and some of them change things, and that's okay. Like Gary said, these are only guidelines for a game. Enjoy it. All right. Now, from my perspective, okay, and I'm sure Donna will have a different perspective, Davey, and anybody who game masters will have a different perspective on things. When I take character building, such a simple thing, right? It's become very, very particular to a certain DM. And here's the funny thing: I use different methods depending on the game that I'm running. Okay, I think I've told you guys this, but I'm going to use that because that's the first thing characters get introduced to, and I think that's where that question's coming from. Is in the book, roll 4d6. There's a couple methods, but the more popular one is roll 4d6, keep the best 3. Okay, and that's your stat, and you arrange them however you need them. Back in the day, once upon a time, it was 3d6, and they go in order: strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma. That's the order they went in. You rolled for each one, and that's what you had. And then your character was very random because, I mean, obviously, if you have a high strength but a low dexterity, you're going to be a rogue. You're not going to be a rogue. And if your wisdom is really low but your intelligence is really high, you're probably going to tend to be a wizard, right? So now there's a lot of customization that goes on. Well, very rarely do I ever use that. I'm not gonna lie. If I do use it, I always use the little click, the little change that roll 46, keep the highest 3, but re-roll ones, at least ones. If I want the game to be a little bit more high-powered, and this is where it gets customizing your game, and so I'm going to go into it. If I want just a basic game, hey, let's have some fun, new players, I may just hand them pre-made characters the first time and say, let's go at it. If you like it and you want to go on, we'll go from there. If not, I go 46, keep the highest 3, re-roll all ones. Is that a rule in the game? No, but it's a guideline. What I've done is I've just added a tweak to it. Re-roll ones. That's it. All right. Sometimes I'll do 1 or 2s. That's okay too. People say, well, that makes really powerful characters. Not really the first level. You want your players to survive past first level. Or maybe you don't. I don't know. I do. I've been using standard array +2 plus class modifiers. Okay. So the standard array +2 and plus class modifiers. All right. So see, Donna does something a little differently. And I'm sure if I got a couple more DMs that want to chat, come up here. I don't know if Antonio's going to make it up here. Davey, you anything? Do you run anything that you want to throw out there? Maybe how you put characters together for D&D? So that's what I do for a standard game. Now, when I want to bump it up a little bit, like I'll sit there and say, okay, hey, brother, how you doing? I need a haircut? Oh, dude, really? Where's my hat on? All right, fine. Now I'm self-conscious. I'm going to have to wear a helmet. Okay, there. Now. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. There's always something laying around. No, anyway. All right. See, this is the way this show goes. But, okay, so now let's talk about this. I'm playing 3.5 right now, and as a player for the first time and talk about rules. Yes, Davey. There are a lot of rules. There are. For a first-time player, it can be, wow, a lot of information. Yes. I played for 3.5 in another campaign with my good friend Billy, and woof. You know, we kind of curtail the number of rules to start out with, and it gets it gets crazy. But it's fun. Remember, this is about having fun. But, okay, so like I was saying, for a more powerful game like the one I have at home, they started out with an assortment of points. I believe it was 84. Basically, it was 14 times 6. Yeah, 84 points. Okay. And they could arrange it. They could build it as long as their total character, nothing below 10. They couldn't start with anything below 10 and nothing above 18, even with adjustments. So that means that with their racial adjustments, they couldn't go to 1920. All right. So they had to start 18. And there's some very powerful characters out there. Okay. They have 2 and 3 18s. Okay. It happens. You know, that's okay though. That's the way I wanted the game. I wanted the game. It doesn't say anything in the rules about it. That's the way I wanted it. Now you can go out there and you'll see that sometimes it's high fantasy, mid fantasy, normal levels of play. That's okay too. It's your game. The game master I'm talking about. Run it how you want. Players, if you feel like I don't really, then talk to the DM. I've had it to where characters have come in with their whatever already created. I'm like, how'd you do that? And their stats, I mean, they'll have like an 8, and they'll have numbers. And I'm like, okay, explain to me why you want that. And if they have a good explanation for it, I don't allow min-max. And it's funny because I say min-maxing, but that thing, I don't allow in my game anybody to start below a 10 unless they have an extremely good reason, like an 8 in charisma. I've actually allowed it. Because what happened was, in their backstory, this character had been raped by a werebear. And it had there was no cleric to heal them. The wounds were very old. He had grown up that way. And here he was years later, and that claw, he had a patch over one eye. You know, it looked, okay, so I get it. That's cool. You know, when you look at this guy, you're like, oh, hey. Because he's got these claw marks across his face, the deep claw marks that are healed that way. He was left for dead, and he didn't die. So it was a really good story behind it. I like that. That causes role playing, which causes you to think and create. I'm okay with that. But I'm going to go negative here so I can go positive now. We're not going to do that. That's just in my game, though. In the game, look, you can do that kind of thing, right? Right. Okay. In fact, some of the starting characters start with negative numbers and I don't even. Yeah, no, I don't like that. I'm just saying that as me. Hello, my love. How are you? See, the wife is on. This is great. So that's just me. But to answer the question, DMs are going to use some of the rules. They'll use all the rules as is. I sometimes don't allow character classes into my game just because that's just not the way my campaign is going to be run. There's no place for it. Okay, so that's just me, though. Once again, I am one game master. Now, Antonio, on the other hand, runs a much more outreaching game. There's another, and his game group switches off. They have like 3 game masters that run through there. One has his own, what they call homebrew campaign. Anything goes. Run it by him, and if he likes it, boom! And he's got his homebrew stuff, and it does things differently, okay? Once again, that's a homebrew game, and you never know what you're going to get. They have a lot of fun because they've been playing it for a while, okay? So there you have it. That's the extremes, the strict, hey, buy the book, and the homebrew game where anything goes. And then everything in between. I think that's where Donna and I's games fall into play, okay? They're kind of like, we kind of mix and match things and change things around to suit what we need. But we let the players know, this is how we're going to run this game. So hopefully that answered your question about that. And I know sometimes when you're reading the books and a game master does something outside of the book, it's kind of frustrating. And the only thing is something I said during the DM section is be careful. Make sure you let your characters know, okay, we're going to use these rules, but here are some of the things that I do differently. And I tell the players, and sometimes I forget. I mean, until something comes, I run homebrew chaos games. Yes, in truth. Cheers to that, Donna. Yes, homebrew chaos games. I like that. Huh. Sometimes when she talks to me about her game, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what creatures to use to kill them this time around. Or drive them crazy. Or God only knows. It's crazy, but it's a lot of fun. And that's what it is. Players are having fun. That's all that matters. Players have been waiting for Antonio to run his game again. Now he's running it. They're having fun. That's all that matters. Those magical doors in the magical mansion is just awesome. Davey, I've noticed more players' aversion to their characters dying. How, as a DM, have you been able to build tension in your stories without these stakes? Okay. That's a really, really good question. And here's the TPK was part of the plan. Don't worry. That's Donna's answer. That's not the answer. That's not the answer. Or maybe it was. Okay, but on a serious note, Davey. So this happened in my game. I was running a little bandit scene. Okay, the group is in this group here on Wednesdays that just started out, first level. They ran into some wolves the first time, and they kind of survived. Okay, they learned a couple things, but I wanted them to learn a couple more things. So, and actually, the character I'm talking about is on here, Sarah. It's Pebbles. She has a barbarian. They rage. They take half damage. Awesome. A war machine. Until something. And here's what happened. So bandits attacked them that night. The guy on guard goes, oh my gosh, too late. They got a surprise attack. They started attacking. Not a lot happened. Everybody wakes up. Now they're engaged in combat. The barbarian's going to town by herself, unfortunately. On one side, oh yeah, we're raging. We're kicking butt. The wizard, of course, gets the mage on the bandit side goes, that's a danger. So what happens? Here comes the one spell that's just the should be the mainstay of every wizard. Magic missile. 3 magic missiles. Bam, bam, bam. Full damage. Because the barbarian's Achilles heel is what? They don't take damage from piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing weapons. But magic, on the other hand, is full damage. And if you don't have to roll to hit, armor class doesn't even matter. So bam, 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 3 missiles hit. Ooh, that hurt a little bit. Unfortunately, she's out there fighting by herself because the tiefling is still behind the wagon. Next round comes around. Now, you can only guess where this is going, right? The wizard's a smart guy. I mean, he's not intelligent for no reason, right? Round comes back to him. He goes, magic missile. Wham, 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 wham. 3 more missiles hit her. She goes down. She's not dead. Now it's up to the characters to decide whether she's going to end up dead or her die rolls, right? So, and parties do die. In my first session a while back, a player coming from out of town, I think it was, I want to say it was Donna's friend, came into town, right, Donna? And he went down, and the party was still busy fighting, and He rolled his death throws and he missed his first one. And you'll find out in 3.5, you don't have the death and dying throws, okay? It's a different concept of how your character dies. But in 5.0, he rolled low. He rolled like a 6 or something, had 1 kill point. Came back around. Nobody had healed him. Nobody had brought him back up to being unconscious. He was still bleeding out. He rolled a 1. That's 2 kills. His character died. First session of the campaign. I think it was the second session, but his first. It happens. It's not so much. So I hope that answers your question as to how it can happen. It's built in. In 5.0, it's built in. Once you go unconscious, you start making these death throws. And actually, the way it's supposed to be done is I let the players do it. At the lower levels, I let them because it's something most of them haven't even experienced before. At the higher levels, the way it's supposed to be done, the DM takes a D20 and secretly rolls it. It doesn't tell you what he rolled. And then 1 round goes by. Maybe he made a saving throw. Maybe he didn't make his death throw. Nobody knows. The fighting goes on. Next time he's up, character's up, boom, you roll again. Okay. They don't know. Now, there's 2 rolls. They could have been 2 fails. Yes, Jay's character went down and he crit failed on his second death roll and died. So it can happen, Davey. It's not that we're adverse to it. I don't go out of my way because characters always find ways of killing themselves. And 3.5 is a little easier actually than in 5.0, believe it or not. Because if you run into a dragon and he hits you for X amount, I believe it's twice your hit points at any one point, you're done. That's instant death or something like that. I can't remember. It doesn't happen often because hopefully the characters are smart enough not to get in that far above their heads, but it can happen. And some DMs are very averse to killing their characters because they don't want them to quit. They don't want to build a problem. But building the tension part is just like that. I took down a barbarian who normally would have taken some damage because they only take half damage. But there's ways of doing it, and I did nothing else. I wasn't out to kill her or anything. It's just the wizard. This is a group of bandits. They've been doing this for a while. They're like, whoa, this is a problem. This barbarian took him down. Now that the barbarian's down, it's up to fate. He switched attention elsewhere because there were other things, other players. You see what I'm saying? But that's I had a player die recently. He made a deal with a devil to be revived. He is now forced to multi-class as a warlock. There you go. So some DMs will let you die. If it happens, it happens. There's enough magic and healing and stuff to keep. I mean, there's a spell called Spare the Dying. So that puts you unconscious. It stops you saving your death throws and everything. So there's potions, there's medicine packs, there's ways of keeping people unconscious without making those death rolls. So, but that's actually where the tension is. Now, if I really, really want them at the higher levels, when they're fighting something big and people start falling, then you start stabbing them, like a mob of kobolds is in there. Now they're starting to stab people to death. They're doing Now look, believe it or not, that is not killing the character anymore, but it's drawing attention that this person is now making death throws because these people are currently trying to stab them to death. Okay, so there's a lot of ways of doing it. Spells are a fun way to do it. Special abilities, having a rogue backstab somebody in the party while they're busy fighting somebody. A lot of different ways that I build tension. But at first level, that's you don't go out of your way to kill them. And unfortunately for Pebbles, someone came over. Actually, the cleric in the party noticed and used Healing Word on her. Healing Word is as always with the targets within 60 feet, you heal 1d4 plus their spellcasting modifier. So there you go. So that was good and healed her, and she got back into the fight. And that they actually drove off. They killed 4 of the bandits and drove the other 3 off. One of them limping pretty badly, but they were kind of hesitant to follow him because one of them was a pretty good fighter, and of course they still had that mage, and you don't know if you want to tangle with mages or not sometimes. So, anyway, so that's how I did that. You can use traps. I use traps a lot to build tension. Some really diabolical traps. Some of them are just little. It's funny because it may only do 1 point of damage, but now you got to make a poison save or be paralyzed. Oof, that's harsh. A paralyzed character. How do you deal with that, right? So there's that. Maybe a poison that's slow acting. debilitating poisons. You know, there's so many things. A pit trap. Whew. And that's the way that and now the tension is, oh my gosh, where's the next trap at? What's going to happen to us? Is it going to be an arrow, a dart? Is it going to be a pit, a pendulum, whew, a falling boulder? I've gotten them with the falling boulder trick. It's great. They come down the stairs, trip, boom. Make a dex check. Oh, boom! Here comes the boulder and falls on you, or a group of boulders. Yeah. I could go on and on, but that's kind of like an idea as to how to build tension without killing the characters. So hopefully I answered that. Okay, so now let me kind of jump away from that, and I'll answer any more questions because there is one other question I'm going to answer. But let me talk about the cool stuff that came in. Right. All right. So I promised you guys D&D the movie. It was awesome. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to tell you it was awesome. The characters were well cast. They were well created. They were created well. They did their things. The cinematography was amazing. The scenes, the backgrounds, everything was really, really good. I just wish it had been longer. That's it. That's all I can wish for. It was well done, and you know, it's the plot in it was really good because if you know about the Red Wizards of Thay and you know about the Forgotten Realms, and you can actually really put it together really well. And that's what I'll say. It was well put together. The movie was visually very appealing. Aesthetically, the characters would. It's like Brendan had said. The characters were dressed. Yeah, they looked good, but they didn't look brand new. Okay. And of course, these adventurers they've been adventuring for a while, whether together or separately or whatever. The way they developed the Wild Mage was really well done. Not one of my favorite classes, I will tell you, but I actually enjoyed the way they developed him and brought his magical abilities probably to bear. So yes, that's all stuff. And I like the transition between, and you've seen it already in the trailer, so I'm not telling you the transition between the owlbear, the druid turning into an owlbear as one of her creatures, and it's just awesome the way they did it. I like the way they took the time to actually incorporate a lot of the details of the game into the movie, even with the monsters, the intricate parts of the game, the intricate parts of the monsters. Okay. Yeah. So that's that. I love the movie. I'll probably go see it many more times and buy it when it comes out on DVD. Now, as far as what was the other thing we were talking? Oh, MegaCon. MegaCon was a lot of fun. It's a lot to take in. You know, you probably want to definitely go 2 to 3 days. From what Antonio told me, the last day was just as crazy as the first day, and Saturday was just out of control. So it's a lot of fun, a lot to see, a lot to take in. I say go with friends. Go with friends, have a good time, walk around, talk smack, look at stuff, laugh at stuff, take pictures, and enjoy yourself. That's what I'm going to say about Dragonlance. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I went, spent the day there. I went with Antonio and Sarah. We met up with JB and Jason, 50 Cent, who came down from the Tallahassee area. Aaron was there, and it was just a lot of fun. You know, Nancy and her daughter. Oh my gosh, I'm just like Cheyenne went on Sunday, met up with them, and they had a blast also. So there you have it. Okay, so that's that. That's my recap. So now let's talk about the cool stuff. So here, this is something I talked to you about, and Tony and I have been hoping for Christmas for it to come out, but it didn't come out till just now. This is following up on the whole Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen. There is Lord Soth on his greater death dragon. Look at that. That is Lord Soth. I mean, it's a gorgeous fig. I haven't opened it. I want to open it, but there's going to be, we'll see. Maybe next week, or you guys can come in the store and look at it. These are, there were only so many of them, so I'm not going to just pop one open. Although I will be getting one. I won't be getting one today. That's gorgeous. Then, pop figures. If you collect pop figures, they have the entire collection of the Dungeons and Dragons collection, all the way from Forge to Holga and Simon, so on and so forth. They're all here. All 6 of them. All 6 characters are there in pop figure. Then, of course, you know, remember the Mimic? Well, they came out with this nice little pack for all us Mimic fans. of the Mimic Colony. Yes, the Mimic Colony. There are 7 mimics in there in all shapes, sizes, and forms, from chairs to comfortable rocking chairs to a barrel of fun to a chest, of course, and a wardrobe, and just all kinds of. I think one of them's a pail, a juvenile mimic as a pail of water. Can't beat it. Yeah, I love it. And then for all the board gamers, this just came out: Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Scrawlers, Heroes of Waterdeep. Basically, you go through the sewers of Waterdeep, racing through a dungeon to be the first one to win. That's literally race your opponents through a thrilling dungeon scrawl. That's exactly what you're doing. You're running through the sewers of Waterdeep, trying to beat everybody else to the finish line. It's a card base. It just looks like a lot of fun. It does. It looks real. So if you're a board gamer and you want to play something fun and crazy, Dungeons and Dragons related, here it is. All right. So this is it. Dungeon Scrawlers. I'm sure there's probably going to be more of those coming out because I can just see that happening. It looks like a lot of fun. So I'm sure, in fact, it'll probably be played on one of those, what do they call it? The Monster Day, where they go into play different games. So yeah, here at the Collective, that'll be fun. All right, so let me go to my last question that was that I got to answer for sure, because it was a very interesting one. Someone said, I hear D&D, My Little Pony is coming out. Yes, D&D, My Little Pony is coming out. And I'll talk to you about that some other time, because there's a story behind that, but today's not that day. It's not on my agenda. But we will talk about D&D, My Little Pony. Yes, in an up-and-coming show. But let me get to this. This is important. Dice. You know I love dice. So someone sent me an email, and they sat there and asked me, their new player that's just starting out, and they've been looking at dice, and they've noticed that some dice come with stuff inside of them. Okay? So they wanted to know, with that being said, and that being the case, does that make the dice roll one way or the other? Does it imbalance the dice, or does the dice stay balanced? So my answer is, I honestly don't think it does. I don't create the dice, and I got some foam brain dice in my hands because, they always have beautiful dice, and like the ones that I'm holding here are stone skulls inside of clear dice, and this one here is the Ranger arrow. It's like a piece of copper or something shaped in an arrow inside the die. So that's a really good question. The answer is, I have never had a die really roll one way or the other a lot. I mean, I roll a lot of 20s. All right, brother, be safe. Have a good afternoon. Thanks for coming on the show. Talk to you later. I've never had dice roll one way or the other a lot. I mean, I roll a lot of 20s, but I roll a lot of 20s across a lot of different dice. Okay, so that's just the luck of the roll. And so I've never noticed dice rolling a lot of 4s or a lot of 6s or a lot of love you too, brother. Be safe. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to say that they're probably tested, but here's what I will tell you. I talked with Danny, and Danny's going to talk to Foam Brain and see if maybe we can get someone, not today or tomorrow, but maybe in a future show in May, we can get them to come on and do like a little interview and talk to us about that kind of thing. Right? I think that's an important question to answer, especially with all the things that you see. You see dice being done with made out of precious stones like amethyst and jade and agate and onyx and all these beautiful fluorite and all that. And it's a valid question when you ask, do these dice actually roll? Are they balanced when they roll, or do they lean to roll one way or another? And are you basically, if you buy that set of dice, are you doomed because that's just the way it rolls? Okay, so that's a really good question that I will try to look into. All right, I'm not going to go on the internet and look for the answer. I'm going to try to go straight to the horse and get it from the horse's mouth. All right, we're going to try. I'm going to try. No promises. It's kind of like when I brought Fiona, I kept telling you I'm going to get Fiona out here. I'm going to get someone out here who really knows about it. And she finally came out last week. And if you missed it, that's okay, because you can go back and look at it live. Not live, but the recorded version on the website. Yes, on the Facebook. Anyway, so that's my answer about the dice. I wish I had a really good answer for you other than that. And I've never heard, here's the other thing. I've never really heard of anyone complaining about the dice roll. I mean, well, hold on. People complain about the dice doing them in, but the dice don't really do it. It's just one of those dice days. And if you buy a dice jail, you put them in there, it might work out. Or put them under the presence of a dragon, that might work out as too. Or you just not use that set of dice anymore. I don't know. I have so many sets of dice, I just change dice out. So even if something were wrong, it doesn't matter. I got so many, you just switch them out. But it's a very valid question, and thank you for asking that question. And I will sit there and endeavor to investigate this a little more profoundly with those who create the dice, because it is a good question. It's funny. All these years I got all these different dice. I've never wondered that. I just, look cool, and I get them. And just start rolling. Oh, well, that's what dice are for, to roll. But anyway, good stuff came out. I think that's pretty much it for the show. I had a good time chatting with you folks and talking to you about a couple things. And hopefully, I learned from you guys as much as I learned. What you guys learned, hopefully, from me, because you ask me questions, and then I go dig around for answers. And it's kind of cool that way, right? It's a two-way street. Just like an interactive show should have interactive questions where we both learn from each other. I like it. I love it. That's why I do it. Okay, so with that being said, as always, may the world rise up to meet your feet. May all your adventures be successful. And I will see you next week here on the Dungeon Corner, John's Dungeon Corner, at the Collective in Altamont Springs, Florida. Thank you. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. Thank you for coming out. Those of you who see it later, thank you for your support. And I'll see you next Friday.